And straight back into the action as we jump immediately into draft. AHQ going to be on your blue side, PSG on the red. And similar bans to what we saw in our previous game. Interesting enough, though, AHQ have decided to take blue side here in Game 3 as they ban out the TF as well as the Nidalee once again.
Yeah, now this Caitlyn ban is making a lot of sense. As it turns out, PSG, when their bot lane gets to play the lane, gets to play the game, actually fairly formidable.
And interesting enough here, too, we're going to have that Caitlyn, that Lilia ban as well now actually coming out from PSG. So just want to make sure that Kong can't use it. But I know, Zergoth, you were mentioning a couple times, you wanted to see a little bit of adaptation come out of here, out of AHQ in this Game 3.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what I want to see is I want to see a safer bot lane for Wako and Sarah, because I don't think they've been having the greatest of series. Uniboy and Kongyu, on the other hand, when they've been able to play proactive, they've been making sick plays, and they generally have a good grasp of what they want to do on the map. So I want to see them enabled more, and I want to see the side lanes pick safer supportive champions to allow their mid jungle duo to shine. One adaptation I want AHQ to make for sure is to shift away from the Renekton and look for the gangplank.
Well, instead, though, the option is going to be this Ashe getting locked in first here for Wako, putting priority onto the bot lane.
Yeah, thoroughly unimpressed with his Ashe in the previous game, but at the same time, it's such a power pick with the Caitlyn removed that you do have to consider it to be, you know, the go-to. We saw Jhin into it before, could just wait on the lock-in of that AD carry. For Unified, of course, prominent Ezreal player, has done his fair share of different champions experimentation, as we are going to have to see first rotation jungler from both teams for fear of the 5-ban curse.
One thing that I want to see match with this Ashe, I want to see a Tahm Kench match with it. It's a super safe lane, super strong as well, enables you to rotate around the map, make picks. I think Tahm Kench should definitely be on the radar of AHQ, and it will also work extremely well into the Graves and the Zoe, which are both very burst heavy champions that have telegraphed windows of damage, and Tahm Kench works perfectly against both.
Yeah, Tahm Kench Ashe was actually the bot lane that HQ smashed and took over the map with versus PSG in the tiebreaker, where they just completely did to PSG what PSG did to them last game. So definitely could see that as an option, but looks like their priorities are gonna lie elsewhere.
Yeah, we got ourselves kind of the Kongyu special, and River actually has played this too. It's actually going to be Kindred getting locked in here second for AHQ, and then pairing that up once again in the mid lane, it will be the Syndra for Uniboy.
I think this isolated mid-jungle duo counter pick from AHQ makes sense in isolation. The Kindred is extremely strong against Grace because she can kite it, she can deny the burst with her ultimate, and the Syndra can try and look to create mid-prio, which she can, it's a skill matchup still, but she can get mid-prio a lot of the times. So I like it, but it requires the rest of AHQ, these last two picks, to be relatively setup heavy picks from AHQ.
We're seeing here now, though, next round of bans going to be used from PSG actually are the ones to get rid of the Thresh, so not going to see Kaiwing on that one again, as they do actually get first pick coming out of this second rotation. Briz, what are you kind of wanting to see in particular now from PSG in the second half?
So paired with the Senna, you could run Wukong, but neither Unified nor Kaiwing are big Wukong players, so I expect more of the Maokai. Maybe they take the Tahm Kench themselves as well, also a very valid option. And suddenly you have this global to actually contest the Ashe when it comes to influencing some of these cross-map plays. And I think that while Senna is kind of anchored to the bot lane, or at least to A lane, just that little bit heavier than the Ashe, the Tahm Kench would go a long way towards remedying that.
I think PSG is looking to 5th pick support or pick Braum on this position. Because I think Braum is so good against Ashe and Syndra already in particular, and it pairs up really well with Senna. Also, they Ashe Tahm Kench into Senna Braum. It's not a good matchup for Ashe Tahm Kench. So I think HQ should ban out Braum here. They don't, so we'll see if the Braum comes through or not.
Yeah, Braum, Tahm Kench, of course, both very well known for being super good into other melee supports, just very oppressive once you get control of the lane and don't really let go of it. And I think that Bard is a good option into those melee supports, and it's been a good option for Kaiwing. I just don't really like the lane with the Senna.
I mean, I think the lane itself, you're kind of sucking the Senna, but Senna needs support in lane to survive it or to scale up. But Kaiwing's Bard was on fire last game, so I'm okay with this pick. If you can keep up the if he just carries the momentum from last game, he just thinks, oh, we're still in game 2. Then I think the Bard pick is good. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's gonna get heavily punished by the Ashe Morgana here.
Yeah, I also like the Magical Journey just kind of remedying the, as I mentioned, the anchor that the Senna is to the bot lane, just by giving her some artificial mobility and just really reinforcing PSG's rotations if they do want to snowball through mid-jungle, even if the isolated 2v2 is a little shaky.
Oh, but here you go.
No!
We were wondering, this top
no.
lane, both picks were kind of hidden, and it is going to be the Renekton getting locked in for Civ, and we'll see if Hanabi just goes something heavy tank just to deal with it and then act more for those team fights later on.
But Malphite is so good here. Even though the enemy has Black Shield, it still creates such a huge pressure against triple AD threat.
Oh, there you
But
go.
there's a GP.
There you go.
Alright, Hanabi TP, it's a special, but he does give first blood on it like 9 times out of 10.
His early first 5 minutes, and even the team will meme him. If you've seen any of our side content with PSG, they've said, if you pick GP, just don't die on the first level gank, because Kangyu will likely visit him immediately, and I wouldn't be even shocked if he puts a mark on Hanabi. I wonder, even with Hanabi having a kindred mark above his head, if he will still hard push level 1.
I mean, it's Hanabi. He's gonna do it for sure. Also in this matchup, it's extremely important to get push level 1, to bounce the wave, to get in a slow pushing position towards yourself, and then have your jungler there to cover the dive, and then you're Gucci in the lane. But it's really important to pressure early so you get control of the wave as Gangplank.
Yep, definitely is the case here, and of course level 1 trading fairly reasonable between the passive, the Q, and the grasp, but then, yeah, need to tether it back, otherwise just going to get dove level 3.
So here we go. It's going to be our third game of our series, AHQ PSG Talon. Both teams able to find a victory here so far during the series. Now, though, interested to see how AHQ kind of bounce back after such a heavy-handed victory coming out from PSG. Or does, AHQ say, you know what, we are going to give up one of those during a series. We're going to try and switch things up. Kangyu going to be onto his Kindred, something we haven't seen for a little while. We also have that rather safe combo in that bot lane in the form of the Ashe and Morgana. We'll see whether or not Wako is able to refine his footing, refine his composure after being caught out multiple times in Game 2. Or, is PSG finally going to answer something in that top lane with the gangplank we are so favored to see. Let's go ahead, though, load onto the Rift for Game 3.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
And onto the Rift we are for Game 3, 1-1 in our series. Again, this is the upper bracket of our summer playoffs. So loser in this series isn't out of Worlds contention just yet, but if you do win, you're only one single best-of-5 win away from securing a seed in China.
Definitely do have to look towards Worlds being the end goal for both of these squads, especially with how questionable the other two teams in our upper echelon did look yesterday. AHQ and PSG both gunning for a seed. It just matters which one will they claim. Honestly, either of them could get first, either of them could get second. Then again, if we see AHQ play like Game 2, PSG play like Game 1, either of them could both narrowly miss out on Worlds qualification. And then that would mean Bajaya Dragons and the new favourites to go to Worlds.
There is the possibility that the eighth man seed, after they found their upset victory a couple days ago, they could make that miracle run to Worlds. As Riku would say, that's pretty pog. But coming back now to Game 3, getting more focus on this. What do I want to see if I'm a PSG fan in the first 15 minutes of this match?
First 15 minutes, really, it's just a farm fest for the Senna. You're hoping the tank can actually utilize the spellbook in mid to use his TP advantage to get some decent chunk out of Uniboy, and then TP around the 6-minute mark with a spell shard in pocket and with the Drake up to reinforce River there. You're also just hoping that Hanabi hasn't been dove by that time. It's Hanabi. This is why he dies a lot on GP, because he's mega aggressive all the time.
I'm just saying, though, I didn't see a mark come out from Kongya. And Kongya actually decided to path down toward the bot side of the map. So the one thing... Oh, there it is! There's the mark finally. That might actually force Hanabi to kind of relieve some pressure, though he doesn't know that Kongya's actually on the bot side of the map completely.
Yeah, I do like the mind games of the Kindred mark, but Hanabi actually reads it well, doesn't relent on a certain degree of pressure. He was already feeling a little bit on himself just because his mana pool was being drained dry through the repeated Qs, but still, having a field day in that top lane. Bot lane going by way PSG now.
Still, though, start to see a little bit of aggression come out of Ysera, just looking for that Dark Binding to connect. Not going to be the case, though. Meanwhile, though, River doing a full jungle clear so far, only having his Krugs remain as he clears out the Raptor camp.
Uniboy giving a lot of respect to the pick potential of a bubble here, saying, look, I really need the cleanse. The lack of a TP means the Syndra is susceptible to losing a lot of tempo and momentum in that mid lane, though, so there's definitely the possibility of Uniboy actually losing some footing into the tank matchup, and tank really growing those small advantages as he has tended to do since he started to find his footing coming in to PSG at the start of the split.
And also to note there, unfortunately for Kongyu, it looks like his mark was actually on the top side of the map, so he actually didn't get that free stack off the scuttle. It went over to River, so only just going to slow down the Kindred just a little bit. We are aiming for that 4 to 5 stacks around the 20-minute mark for him.
And I know Zergoth is tilted now because, again, we're seeing the Renekton pick, and again, we're seeing nobody play around it. Just left alone in isolation. Really, really rough for Ziv again. Individually, flawless, but the team doesn't play around the pick. I say flawless, not flawless, but fantastic at least. Very, very good.
Consistent. Consistency is always
We're
been...
just we're dialing it back with every sentence at this point. We started with flawless, we're back to consistent, which is what you use to refer to someone that has mechanics still in this day and age playing top lane. But hey, yeah. Genuinely, this top lane matchup has delivered so far, even if the rest of the map has not for either of these teams in different phases.
You do see, though, Hanabi's just fine trying to at least soak up the wave. We do see Kongyu, though, pathing his way on over. Going to go ahead and take the Gromp. I do believe he does not have a Blast Cone, but instead just going to opt to go for a lane gank possibly here. We'll see whether or not Civ is able to bait in Hanabi as that wave's going to push back.
Definitely are looking for some playmaking potential, but I expect the bottom side of the map to explode in favor of PSG. Once we see the Tempered Fate available, once we see Cannon Barrage available, just look for River plus tank to just be unlocked and take full control of this map. Hanabi's
getting closer. There's Kongyu finally going to show himself. The flash comes out immediately. Stun is going to be eaten, but the orange is just a little bit too late, and there you go. First blood coming out of AHQ onto the Kindred.
And did Zergoth think we were kidding when we said Hanabi always gives first blood on this GP?
Yes, he does.
Yep, this just happens time and time again. And, well, that mark that you missed out on the bot side Scuttle Crab, more than happy to answer with it with an extra 400 gold injection on top of one from Hanabi.
I like how the game naturally also reminded Hanabi that, yes, you have a Kindred mark, because it actually showed the little thing above his head, because it usually just does that every couple minutes to kind of remind you, hey, you're getting hunted, and immediately right after that, there comes a Kindred into the lane. You do see, though, Cannon Barrage coming out from Hanabi. Does force the flash out of Ziv. River's nearby, but again, it's a Graves. Rather difficult to actually go for this dive. Will at least be able to stop the back with the smoke screen. We'll see if they're able to actually finish off Ziv.
Yeah, can't actually auto through towers on the Graves, so a little bit...
Woo!
6!
Civ, though! He just kills Hanabi instantly as River didn't actually tank up tower aggro. And goddamn, top lane not going well here for Hanabi now.
Tank is here, but so is the minion wave. Ziv pinning himself between the tower and the wall, though.
Oh, he's able to dodge it out. Tank, he doesn't have exhaust anymore. Paddle Star, though, will finally come through, and they're able to finish off the kill. Nicely done, as that will at least be able to trade back a kill, but Ziv is now pretty big on this Renekton.
Yeah, because of that 2-odd-minute-long commitment, though, it meant Kongyue could go for the reset after the first blood, straight to the Drake, more objectives in pocket of AHQ, and this was beautiful. Hanabi tanks up the tower, but Ziv, with that Q to trade onto Hanabi, clears out a minion just by chance, and is able to tick over to Dominus territory. Tank with the reinforcement here, very good read. We thought maybe the Zoe was a little bit superfluous, coming up for the reinforcement when Ziv was already being dove by Graves and GP, but as it turns out, very necessary, very well done, and the mid laner of PSG does pick up the slack while Ziv pops off.
And build also pretty much mirrors what we saw from Uniboy in this matchup when he was actually on the Zoe, so Tank actually kind of in an okay position, actually picking up a kill, but I know top lane for Hanabi, not going the way that he probably dreamed of. Though I feel like at some point he would start to have, you know, reoccurring memories of how his top lane experience has gone every time he plays Gangplank, getting camped here early. Nonetheless, 2 kills over to AHQ, a stack over for Kongyue. Not a bad start for this squad looking to bounce back after a disastrous Game 2.
Yeah, Hanabi, he gave first blood, he gave second blood, and he may find himself chunked out, pressured out by Ziv from here on out. Also super crucial to note was that when Hanabi went for the all-in onto Ziv, he popped the Cannon Barrage. He tried to make that happen, and that means PSG, they don't have Cannon Barrage for this play, but they do have a man advantage.
Ooh, Tank, though, comes in with the help of River, and Kongyue just a little bit late on the Kindred ultimate, and there you go. Second kill of the game going over to River now, 1 on the Graves.
This is actually my first time seeing the Kindred skin in game, and that ultimate was beautiful, even if the actual use of it was not. Good to see it. Wako, yeah, a little bit upset. Just ult preemptively here, Kongyue. Don't hold it. Don't wait for the Graves. Oh, I think he was out of mana, to be fair. He's fairly low on it now, so.
He was pretty low. So he wasn't able to pop the Lamb's Respite. Maybe he was just waiting. But on top of that, River's also going to go ahead, steal back a mark. And Kongyue's going to have to keep hunting these champions if he wants to get those stacks in before 20 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely need to see the Kindred hit 4 marks around the 20-minute mark if she wants to A, continue to kite out the relatively low ranges of PSG, and B, wants to navigate these fights with any real threat. That being said, off to a beautiful start so far. Kongyue looks to continue to snowball this. He's been so good at doing that across many other junglers, so why the hell wouldn't he be able to do it on a champion that is the definition of snowball?
And there you go. You also brought up the bot lane for the side of AHQ. A little bit late over from PSG means that's going to be the first Rift Herald of the game going on over to AHQ, so getting some neutral objectives in their pocket to start things off here in Game 3. And maybe even looking for a play here as in comes the arrow. Just goes a little bit wide there as Tank is able to keep himself safe with a sidestep.
Let me tell you about the duality of man. Here's a snare.
Snare comes out. Uniboy actually had to pop his cleanse. In comes the Senna ultimate. Tank, though, is going to get caught out as Uniboy is able to find himself his first kill.
And I was about to praise Tank, actually, with that duality of man comment, because I said, look, Tank, he stays in lane, he farms up a storm on a lot of champs, but this time around, less farm than his jungler at times, because he's just roaming 24/7. This time around, he gets picked, though, and the Rift Herald is popped in mid.
So there you go. Mid lane tower should be taken here from AHQ on the next minion wave as Kaiwing taking some decent damage from Uniboy. Teleport is going to get exhausted. We'll take another look back, though, on this fight as Tank is able to separate himself from the initial engage of AHQ, but follow-up is still there.
Yeah, I do wonder, did he not have the spell shard available to swap into the cleanse? Probably not the case. Maybe he thought, alright, Uniboy did very well on the Zoe in Game 1, despite running no cleanse versus Syndra Ashe. Maybe I can do the same. Regardless, didn't work out. Tank gets picked, gets knocked down, and suddenly has to rely on forcing those roams just a little bit harder as he is up against a fairly formidable Syndra now.
So now the Syndra also has GLP completed, opting to go for the little less expensive burst potential that you can have compared to, say, the Ludens, but still going to have that as well as a little bit of utility with the slow. And just ahead of this next Dragon spawn, which would be the second one for AHQ if they're able to secure it.
Yeah, Cannon Barrage being saved up by Hanabi here if PSG do want to commit for this, or if AHQ want to contest. Lamb's Respite makes these takes a little bit more risky, of course, for the side of PSG, as we have the collapse from both teams.
Over the wall they go. Unfortunately, Kongyu not able to contest as River is able to secure it with the Graze. Meanwhile, though, mid lane getting pushed in. Uniboy, though, gonna wait for those minions to take down the tower. Pretty low.
Oh.
Won't go down just yet.
Oh. Yeah, kind of kicking himself for not actually hard committing to that while PSG were just 5-manning that Drake. 4-manning rather. And now as soon as mid goes miss, as soon as they have no vision on Kongyu, Hanabi chills at his tier 2 for a little bit. Just says, look, maybe I want to be a little bit careful about how forthcoming I am here. Cannon Barrage available.
Cannon Barrage, in comes the Tempered Fate, but a nice Black Shield from Ysera will keep him safe. Really hard to lock down that Morgana. Skywing not going to be able to land that just yet here. Uniboy, though, and Kongyu, with that pressure being shown bot, get a little bit aggressive and get Kongyu another stack.
Oh, that was nice. Uniboy cleared out all of the small raptors, but left the big ones so the stack could come through. Very well played by the... Well, I say very well played, it's not, but very, very nice. Yeah, very kind-hearted of the AHQ mid lane.
On top of that, too, that's first Brick Gold actually going on over to the Syndra and the Kindred, and almost the full kill coming through as River soaks up the unleashed power from Uniboy. Brings him down to about 200 health, but now this mid lane, a little bit unlocked, will allow him to roam alongside Kongyu when he wants to go for those aggressive invades.
Pretty important to note, with that Drake takeaway, PSG delay Dragon Soul, which will of course be infernal for the side of AHQ if they do secure 3 of those big, hefty red Drakes. And that will mean Syndra, her one-shot potential is bigger, but if PSG get it, it means they can get the one-shots from the Zoe more reliably as well.
So I think we can kind of trail back to our original thoughts here, though. We're almost at that 15-minute mark, and we mentioned for PSG, what we expected was primarily a farm fest to come out here. And outside of the one tower being taken in mid lane by AHQ, they've been able to soak up a decent amount of the pressure from AHQ.
Yeah, AHQ with that big topside kind of advantage, haven't really done all that much with it. Yes, they got a Herald. Yes, they got that mid lane tier 1 off of said Herald. But for now, PSG weathering that storm, scaling up. We mentioned Kindred likes to farm up on those marks. Senna loves those souls even more. She can start to play the game after around 60, and well underway is Unified's quest towards just ramping up in terms of relevancy.
There you go, though. Uniboy's able to hit level 11 here via mid. Speaking of spikes, with his first item, going to pair up alongside Kongyu. Kongyu is just farming through the jungle now, taking that away from River. And River's starting to fall a little bit behind. Hanabi, though, able to land a good combo with his barrel. Unfortunately, can't really do much follow-up, as that pressure coming out from Ziv is going to net themselves another tower for AHQ.
Yeah, no real commitment possible from the top side of AHQ, even if they are pretty big, because Uniboy was anchored in the mid lane. Tank roamed faster, Tank got there quicker, but even despite that numbers advantage for PSG, it is AHQ that walk away with the tier 1, it is AHQ that continue to crack open this map, and it is AHQ that should have the onus when they roam towards this Infernal Drake in 90 seconds time.
So we'll see if the setup is there. Meanwhile, other items starting to come online. We do see Hanabi now has finished off his Trinity Force. You also have Bork completed here for Civ, going for a rather aggressive build. And Muramana being stacked now by Unified as he looks to path into the Black Cleaver we'll likely see later.
Yeah, mentioning items, it feels like we have to pay attention to the fact GLP came through from Uniboy instead of the Ludens. Losing out a little bit of burst for reliable lockdown, for reliable slow. Speaking of reliable lockdown, here's Ziv getting on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, Civ going to try and at least stall out here, but it looks like none of his team's coming on by, realizing, all right, this one's done and dusted. Coming on over, River will secure the kill. Could have given that over to Unified and Hanabi, not end of the world. Meanwhile, though, topside, that is going to be second Rift Herald being taken here by AHQ.
Yeah, actually, I was going to criticize AHQ for giving up Ziv there for apparently no reason, because they had full control top, full control mid, and yet they lose Prio because of it, but they get the Herald, and they then can teleport the Renekton in for the Drake in 30 seconds. Beautiful play.
Wing able to get himself to safety, had to blow the flash, was a little bit concerned he'd get stunned up, but AHQ just dominating the top side now of PSG's map, and at this point, second Rift Herald's going to be popped for second tier tower and top, and also funnel some gold back onto Waka.
Yeah, Wako now just in a fairly suspect position when it comes to actual map state because he's like one cannon barrage away from dead when it comes to having someone close the gap on him, but he's okay to do this. The issue I have is that AHQ still commit topside, still hold all of their cards face up on the table. You know where everybody is on this team, and it means PSG have a free beeline to their second Drake of the game.
So with that, PSG are going to be able to secure themselves second Drake for themselves, picking up the Infernal. On top of that, though, Kongye, there you go, 4 stacks at 17.5 minutes, is able to pick up that Raptor cap once again. So this Kindred scaling up rather nicely with that 1 kill and 1 assist to go along with it.
Yeah, fairly solid. 17 minutes 40 before the 20-minute mark. Checkbox marked pretty happily, saying, look, Kindred's accomplished the bare minimum for being a relevant champ this game. Nice. Speaking of nice.
We might have to come back to our analyst desk for a short little bit.
So we add Zergoth. Come back to the analyst desk.
We come back. We got Zergoth here. How are you doing, mate? How
back out there.
So I'll give you guys a little bit of information. A quick bathroom break, apparently. Wako, we kind of wondered why maybe he was feeling or maybe playing a little bit weird. Apparently, he's actually rather sick. So the referee, he asked for a pause, and they're currently on a toilet break right now for AHQ. I'm so glad I was able to finally use that excuse as a pause. Oh, boy.
All right. Well, that's feels bad, man, for Wako that he feels bad on such an important series, but we still can't ignore how the game is going. One thing that I keep being disappointed by AHQ. You picked a Renekton, Hanabi dies twice in the early game, and what do? You pass the bot side all the time, and you're not even ahead in Drakes. You only had like 500 gold. Come on, AHQ, you can do better. Civ was smurfing it in top lane.
Civ was smurfing. The fact that he was able to kind of turn around that 1v2 dive and actually go even for a trade, I think was a little bit disgusting. But don't have to ignore the fact, though, that AHQ, they're looking pretty nicely with this Kindred as well. You have the 1 kill, 1 assist. You got yourself those 4 stacks before 20 minutes. And AHQ are sitting in a comfortable position.
Yeah, definitely do have to attribute part of that to the natural kind of counter matchup in the mid jungle, kind of limiting options for PSG in that regard, but yeah, mostly that top lane fumble. This time around, though, the bot lane's fairly quiet. I do expect a little bit more action now that we have Senna ramping up in items, Ashe scaling up a bit. You're basically playing utility marksman with heavy engaged support, and that should really be the name of the game for both these teams, just letting those bot lanes dictate the fights that you do take. I think otherwise you're basically banking on Zoe one-shotting someone, Syndra getting a cool pick, if not, the bot lane's just choosing to fight when to fight.
I just really think it's incredibly hard for AHQ right now to win in 10 or 15 minutes from now because the Infernal Soul is an option, and Infernal Soul on the Gangplank, on the Zoe, on the Graves, who have easy ways of applying it from range, is so destructive for your team comp. So I really want to see AHQ prioritizing Dragons a bit more over the gold and map control that they're getting right now.
All right, Zergoth, is this Leandri's third item GP game?
Oh, let me think about the team comp. Yes, it is, because they only have Zoe on their team, so they're getting a bit more consistent magic damage is good.
Well, we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. We are going to go ahead and take a very, very short break, and once we get back into the action, you guys will see it right here as we go to a quick good comments, actually, between Wako and Hanabi.
今天我们要来录就你最浮夸，我就看你多浮夸。
非常熟吗？
很熟啊，高雄人怎么能不熟？
那我要先请你可以开队的吗？
可以啊，我知道他一定会先攻。
你又知道了，
他的话肯定很恶心啊。
那我猜不到怎么办？
你的智商我能同意。
你再说一次。
你的智商我能理解。
你再说一次。
你直接关你了。
第一个。 人帅，长得又高，打游戏又强，每年拿冠军。要是能重来，我要当家强。虽然走路会低油，可是不影响我对他的崇拜，就像是夜空中的萤火虫一般。那么要以
这肯定观众写的啊。
第二个， 即便赛区合并电狼解散，狼魂依旧不灭总决赛。东山拼尽全力，连1/5个电狼还是打不赢狼王，带领塔隆获得总冠军。
这个也是观众写的。
第3个，安娜碧眼镜歪掉，怎么可以这么帅？简直是新一代时尚潮流之父。
这个就是你写的。
塔隆能够招揽到这么厉害的上路太原，真是太棒了！没想到泰国也有这么厉害的上路选手。
这个就是他写的。第1个 PCS 法色怪物 ，Wako 的 AD 真的很风骚。虽然现在版本的 AD 很卑微，但每次在场上操作的时候还是非常有影响力。希望之后能在 PCS 打出一片天，拿到世界赛的门票，打出自己的生涯代表作。
这一定不是你写的。
第2个 ，Wako 的单人线竞争力实在没话说，跟他百变的发色一样狂野，每次的访问影片都尬到笑，是个很做自己的人。第3个 ，Wako 你的头发真的太帅了，可能是因为你顶着这个头才这么猛，下次也要跟你染一样的。
都不像你说的。什么东西？
所以安娜比你觉得哪一个？
第3个自己写的。
我猜第3个，因为其他2个没那么凶的感觉，感觉都是粉丝会讲的。
我跟你一样的道理，你这前2个也肯定是粉丝写的，吹得太那个了。
那互相公布的。
错了，
真的假的？那你对了，
我对了。
对，这怎么可能出马太夸张了？我错了，
猜我是哪个是我写的？
那应该第1个。我觉得是第1个啊，那小米会写的吧？
我香敏啊，怎么样？
谢谢观众的投稿，我们也会继续加油。新的赛季也请支持塔隆，
还有 AHQ，也请继续关注 PCS 粉丝团哦。
拜拜。
这球。
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like our bathroom break for Wako has been sorted out. Back into the action. Game 3, AHQ taking on PSG. Series tied 1-1. We're just at that kind of breaking point to see whether or not AHQ can go ahead and try and snowball this game out of control and prevent PSG from catching up.
Yeah, definitely look at AHQ as having that top side that needs to do well early, and Ziv grew himself a fantastic lead. Unfortunately, AHQ haven't really played around it. It tilted Zergoth on our mid-game analyst desk, check-in with him. And now AHQ at this point, just waiting for Syndra picks, waiting for Morgana picks, waiting for Ashe picks, and yes, they found one mid, but will they find another around the next couple of crucial objectives as PSG look to build themselves slowly but surely towards a Dragon Soul win condition?
We even saw their Kaiwing, even the fact that it feels like AHQ are kind of firing on the proper amount of cylinders, at least this time on Game 3, is trying to at least get some vision on down. But Kangye looking to find Tank caught out toward a side lane here as the Drowsy will land, but that Slow is still able to do a decent amount. Sleep, though, keeps Kangye stuck in his track as he heads back into the jungle.
Yeah, definitely did have blood in his eyes from Kongyue there once you're on top of the Zoe, especially when she has no flash. Very easy to kill her, but also factor in that the Bard team, of course, moves around the map super fast. Cannon Barrage is available, so Tank, despite his positioning question mark, able to escape relatively unscathed.
So a bit of a stall out here, and like you mentioned, we're kind of waiting now on 2.5 minutes. It'll be likely PSG at least trying to set up for another Drake on their side of the map, and if they're able to secure that, then they are looking at Infernal Soul on that next Dragon spawn. So around that 27, 28-minute mark. We'll see whether or not AHQ themselves are going to be able to at least stall that out. As it looks like for now, it's just kind of a waiting game here, trying to scale back and get ready for that next fight.
Both teams scale fairly well. Of course, Kindred, more marks, more fun. While on the other hand, GP can just two-hit people later on. Senna, of course, more souls, more fun. And then Zoe. Cool. Syndra might get into a really strong position, but no position is stronger for Syndra than level 11 and a single item spike, whether that's Ludens or GLP in this case. And for the first time this series, we're seeing a Syndra actually have the luxury of getting her Rabadon second and not having to finish a Void Staff beforehand.
Yeah, it's a rather squishy composition on the other side of the map, especially when you are running a gangplank in the top lane. So PSG always have to be a little bit concerned about that. with the fact that if Uniboy is able to find himself a good scatter of the week throughout the entirety of the team, he will shred health bars, and then you could have some easy follow-up there for Civ. And speaking of Civ, you still have Kaiwing being a rather nuisance in the jungle. Hanabi, though, should be able to pick up his first tower in top side with the help of River and Tank.
Yeah, good trade back from PSG on pressure there. As a trade back, though, they will give up that bot lane tier 1, and that's just gold funneled into the pockets of Kongyue, who, of course, has shown he can carry games if given the opportunity. Ziv now just interrupting with the Blade of the Road King. Nice. Unfortunate recall there from Hanabi, and it does mean PSG, even if they do have positioning around this Baron, are in no position to take it.
That's a nice arrow coming out from Wako. It was, I guess, more of a scouting arrow because there wasn't any follow-up nearby. But nonetheless, PSG, it does slow down their rotation as they are looking to try and aim for this next dragon. But mid lane getting shoved in kind of keeps them occupied and allows AHQ to lay down their own control wards.
Yeah, HQ now setting up around this. Drake will try and deny PSG pushing them towards Soul Point, but PSG looking for a pick of their own. No arrow up for Wako, remember we just saw it come out.
Still, though, waiting on that cooldown and should be back up in about 35 seconds or so. Tank is going to be able to land the bubble. Black Shield is down, and Hanabi has already teleported into mid lane. Ziv, though, with a very big setup. You saw, though, Uniboy getting taken down to half health. Hanabi looking for a flank of his own, and Tank continues to fish. They realize that there is a control ward behind them, and Kaiwing is actually going to be the one that spots out the Renekton, and Civ now loses that element of surprise, and that alone, I think, is enough to allow PSG to secure the next dragon.
Yeah, good attempt at a contest from AHQ, but unfortunately the Syndra gets half health by a Zoe Q. Ziv may get full health by one, though.
Some okay damage coming out. It looks like they won't be able to finish him off, though Kaiwing, different plans, wanted to pop the Tempered Fate, not actually able to connect on to Ziv. Kongya, though, was nearby in case they even wanted to try and take that 3v3.
Yeah, Unified currently on a massive spike with the Mormana transforming, plus the Cleaver completed, dealing a lot of damage. About as early in the game Senna will be able to deal lots of damage in. And yeah, fully online now on that champion for the bot laner of PSG. Tank, though, carried that fight with the reliable poke, and now you have to be super scared of this Zoe, who is shaping up to be a little bit of a threat at least, even if her CS leaves a little to be desired.
Do see, though, PSG grouping up here as 4. Make it 5, actually, with Unified nearby. Just want to try and get some pressure at least over toward this Baron side. Civ is all the way down in bot lane. No teleport, so a little bit of a weird setup on both sides, but it looks like PSG were just kind of, I guess, pretending that they were kind of fed and were trying to almost set up for a Baron. HQ just kind of read and say, okay, cool, we'll clear it out and go back to our lanes and wait this out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I suppose that will be the case here for HQ, honestly. And HQ, they don't have the luxury of playing the scaling game here, because Ziv is already rapidly approaching meat shield territory, even with the Blade optimization. The Blade does suggest to me it's just going to be a Renekton sat in the side lane trying to 1v1 as much as possible, which is fine. But at the end of the day, if you're in a side lane, your team's just going to get 5v5'd on through an advantageous Zoe pick or a Cannon Barrage committed from the guy that is holding you in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and then speaking of that guy too, Hanabi's actually finished off his Ghost Blade. Opted to go for a little bit of lethality into the build rather than what we've seen. Might go for a later Infinity Edge, or maybe that Leandri's, so the Longsword doesn't give me a lot of faith that that's going to be the third item for Hanabi. I know Zergas will be a little bit disappointed, but not end of the world. Speaking here, though, Unified eats up the arrow. That is going to be the QSS, though, being used. And there's also Crucible for Kaiwing, so not end of the world, but that's maybe one he wanted back.
Yeah, kind of unlucky that that actually connected. River dashing out of it. Not really spelling doom for his AD carry, but still not the position you want to find yourself in. PSG now just rotating up to the top side of the map, secure vision around Baron, secure the red buff so the Kindred gets denied a mark, and at this point they're more than happy just shoving side lanes on the top half of the map because Drake is up for another 2 minutes.
Still a lot of priority coming out from AHQ. They're the ones that say, hey, you know what? We know you're going to be wanting this next dragon. That's a possible win condition for you. If you pick up that Infernal, it helps out with a lot with your damage. And even seeing Ziv there popping his Dominus. Hanabi still holding on to the Cannon Barrage, but does spot out that ward being placed down by AHQ right beside him, as well as seeing the Scatter weak mid. Does know that AHQ have pretty much their entire team on the bot side of the map. Still no action from that top side, actually, as far as either team goes.
Yeah, Sleep now connecting onto Wako, but the Black Shield is paying dividends. The Morgana found that single pick mid to get the Syndra rolling. I say rolling. Syndra's okay, but now paying dividends now that she's able to stagnate the engage.
Tank, though, gets himself to safety. Did have that cleanse being available. That's even a collateral damage being used by River. Doesn't really connect on anything. Cannon's still not used until now from Hanabi, forcing out a flash from Ysera, as well as Wako using his heal. And now 1 minute onto the Drake here. HQ, they don't lose any members, but they have to back off.
Looking at HQ now, they are being chunked out by this Zoe, by this Senna, and that does mean PSG can crack open this mid lane tier 1. Pushing this one out gives them more aggressive pathing towards getting deep vision, and the more deep vision you have, the more vision denial you have around this Dragon Soul point.
And more opportunities for Kaiwing to try and find himself a good Tempered Fate if he gets early warning that HQ is pathing into the jungle. We do see a reset, though, coming out from PSG. They themselves want to try and get as much items as they can. Actually, a teleport coming out here from Hanabi. Just saying, all right, did AHQ try and rush this Baron? They kind of realized, no, that's not the case. And AHQ actually get inside track toward Drake.
Both top laners itemizing for the 1v1 with the Starax purchase, just don't want to get knocked down immediately. Will help them out a little bit when they do decide to join these skirmishes as well. PSG, though, late on the rotation for this Drake.
Oh,
don't have the
Uniboy.
positioning.
Oh, three-man Tempered Fate. It is going to get Uniboy at least popped into the Black Shield. Doesn't get rooted. Civ has teleported. Use the Dominus, but unfortunately, he can't find access to the fight, and you feel like AHQ, they know this Drake is pretty doomed unless Kanye could go for a steal, but he doesn't have flash to get out of the pit, and just like that, PSG, they get a free Infernal Soul.
And if PSG win this game, they are 1 game away from taking the series, and that will mean both of our lower seeds will proceed to the upper bracket. It means that the upsets are here in the PCS, and it means that we have no idea what to expect from our playoffs, from our finals-worthy teams.
And with Infernal 2, that could be a rather fast Baron attempt from the side of PSG, as there we go. Kong is going to at least try and steal what he can from the camp, but he's got to make his way up toward the top side of the map. Pings coming out from both sides saying, Baron's already down to 5,000 health. HQ very late to the party. It's up to Uniboy, up to Ysera to try and finish this back. Not going to be the case, though. They're not able to steal it back. Konya on the flank wants to try and make a play, but he finds himself in the middle of 4 members of PSG. And like that, all members able to get themselves to safety, not dropping anything off a very affirmative Baron call.
Quite disappointing to not see any kind of real contest there coming through from AHQ, because at this point of the game, Syndra QWE deals more damage than Smite. If you combo that as well with Kongyue's Smite, it is a free steal for AHQ, and yet they just let PSG have it. Infernal Soul, Baron buff, it's all in pocket. PSG are huge, and PSG are pushing with Hanabi in the mid lane now. Just gonna 5-man run it down.
And there you go. You do see some items at least coming through for HQ. We mentioned Rabadon's was second for Uniboy. Interesting enough, you have an Ardent Rush from Ysera, which, are you proactively ever using that Black Shield during a team fight?
Well, maybe you put it on the as the Tempered Fate is coming down, you put it on like Ashe or Kindred. I get the rationale behind it, because you have 2 marksmen in the game that love to auto attack, but at the same time, yeah, kind of rough. And now looking at HQ's chances, itemization wise, they're okay, they're not great. I hate these players that randomly pick up the needlessly large rod plus the blasting one combo. Why? What? Like what? Why do you do that to yourself?
That's pretty much for both of these mid laners. This Tank able to soak up the damage via the extra shielding coming through. Turret, though, does get taken down. Inhibitor now going to be exposed on the bot side of the map as Hanabi continues now the mid lane pressure for PSG.
Yeah, definitely now look towards PSG just to clear out this tier 2 mid, and then just clear out tier 2 top, or make a convincing play for the base. Yeah, that's not going to stop happening, by the way, because Infernal Soul, of course, is permanent, and that does mean Zoe Poke just going to be further augmented throughout every stage of this game.
On top of that, too, that's before the Rabadons is being completed by Tank. Once that's there, you're going to be looking at almost half the health of Civ being evaporated off one Battlestar combo, and you don't want that for your front line, considering the rest of your team is rather squishy, and unless Kongya is able to get some frame-perfect ultimates coming down, which unfortunately, we've not seen too many of the Lamb's Respite really panning out here for Kongya. May not be the fortune that AHQ are favoring, and there you go, PSG were able to kind of find themselves a slower composition, have scaled up, and it's in their hands here for this game to take it home.
Definitely is their game to lose at this point. Even if we're 3-3 on the scoreboard, there has been a lot of action. Infernal Soul in pocket, couple of towers in pocket, one cannon barrage to rule them all, and Nabi could fish to the fight if PSG want to go for it.
You see, though, that pressure just going to continue via mid. Baron now has dissipated for PSG as the timer runs out. 2 minutes on to Elder if they want to try and fight for that. Kongya almost getting snared up, gets the Black Shield. Meanwhile, top lane, though, Hanabi just continuing being gangplank, doing gangplank things, as he'll be able to knock down another tower. PSG now opening up about a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, pretty hefty lead now materializing for PSG, but not all that much in the grand scheme of things. Maybe 2K would have been something to blink at 7 minutes into the game, but right now, it looks like an even game state until you realize one composition can just kill the other before the other has a chance to respond. And Infernal Soul, on top of that, really makes this Elder Dragon a little bit scarier and a little bit more desperate of a contest for AHQ.
Now you also note here, Hanabi has 2 levels over Civ and also has his finished Stair Axe as well. So the Gangplank going to be rather always annoying into a side lane. And also during these team fights can avoid being just blown up by this Syndra with the Stair Axe safety. And now here we see whether or not AHQ are actually going to be able to contest toward this Elder Drake, which I'm not counting them out just yet. PSG, they do love scrappy games, but they themselves have been caught on the bad end. But if Tank is landing these kind of shots, ignore River missing his, on Kongya, you're not going to have a fun time if you're an AHQ fan.
And we are now precious seconds away from that Elder Dragon. They may be finding engage back onto Unified, but end of the day, AHQ, what real avenues into these do you have? If you commit to an arrow, if you commit to a pick, you're in position just to get mowed down by the rest of PSG.
And now 30 seconds on Elder. Civ is already on the bot side of the map, so you can look for a flank. But again, another bubble connects from Tank. Ysera doesn't use his Black Shield, realizing he probably isn't going to get just hammered home by Tank, but still, that's giving pressure back over to PSG. 9 seconds on Elder. PSG with full control of the bot side of the map. Mid lane pushed in. Uniboy trying to go forward. Kind of realizes he can't as the Cannon Barrage forces out the flash. And that damage from Unified as Ysera gets caught out toward the side. Not going to go down. Uniboy, though, able to get himself back to safety with Kongya. Almost able to finish off the kill. Now turning back on Hanabi. Tank, though, goes down low. Meanwhile, Unified was able to find the kill on Wako. Kongya steps on forward. Has that Black Shield available. Could try and look for the play. It's going to be the first kill going on over. Cutting back away from Hanabi. He can't finish off the kill. Gets the parry, but he's going to get the final tick of damage that he's looking for. Meanwhile, Civ trying to blow down River. Unfortunately, not going to happen as Kaiwing is nearby, preventing him from actually engaging. And even with a squishy Bard in front of him, they still have to worry about the Senna.
And down River is exactly where AHQ's game is floating with this next Infernal Elder Dragon secure for PSG. They get a huge swing of tempo. Kongya almost makes the hero play, but it's not enough to save PSG. PSG now look to claim the Zelda, look to claim the game, look to claim the next team fight leading up to that one, and then everything should be going their way as we look towards Game 4.
Yeah, unfortunately for AHQ and for Kongya, wasn't able to finish off that kill on Hanabi and decided to take that fight. It was actually a really good engage, once again coming out from Kaiwing, helped setting up the kill on Wako.
Yeah, very conditional engage from the side of HQ as well. Just again, quick comp, need to finish line QE, need a good arrow, need a good Q from Morgana, and yet they find not really anything, if we're honest.
And there you are. Elder Drake now in hand. Baron going to be started up once again by PSG, and it feels like for AHQ, you got to make something happen here, or else that double super buff for PSG should be enough to finish out this game. Engage comes out from Hanabi, getting a little bit of damage. Now, though, Kaiwing able to land the Tempered Fate onto Kongya. Kongya pops the Lambs Respite as instantly as he can, but that leaves Zera out to dry, and now they continue, and there's no running away from Unified, picking up himself another kill on the Senna, and with those 2 picks, PSG might be looking for the base.
And Elder means whatever limited poke this comp has is just remedied completely. Tons of damage!
There you go. Senna ultimate with the execute is enough. So will Wako go down as well as Kaiwing gets the execute for him. And with that, 4 members down for AHQ. No minions in mid lane as Civ is trying to stall it out, but Hanabi spots it out. And PSG should be able to also claim him and turn him into a purse.
Ziv with the near hero play, callback to Marin of 2015 SKT that, you know, Zergoff referenced Ziv playing against back in the day where he tried to stop the minions. Unfortunately, not quite as successful for Ziv this time around. Should be the end of the game here, should be PSG pushing us to match point.
And with that, PSG take hold of the series as they continue to dominate over AHQ in their base. Both Nexus towers down, and now are only 1 game away from the upper bracket final to face off against their longtime opponents of the PCS, you could say, of Machi, only needing 1 more Nexus to claim home the full victory.
Really convincing game there coming out of PSG. They played towards their win conditions fantastically. Yes, the top lane was a bit of a fumble. That feels like hours ago now, by the way. Wow, that was really only 45 minutes ago. That being said, though, yeah, trading back and forth between the 2 of them all game long, and yet it is PSG that win it out in the end.
Yeah, I think PSG played to their composition quite well. Recognized the soul as a win condition for them because they had so much damage to their comp. But I think AHQ is also losing to themselves. You're picking their Renekton, you're not pressuring it. You're just doing nothing with these side lanes that have either really strong early game win conditions or rely on the counter pick. I also saw the Morgana do very little this game. The Bard could just do whatever he wanted. He could run around, not do much. And then Morgana, I think Boris, the shopkeeper, is the name of the shopkeeper this game. He's scammed a lot of people. I think the Ardent Sensor doesn't make any sense whatsoever if you're not running Font of Life on the Morgana. I think the Ghostblade on the Gangplank was absolutely unnecessary because the crit build is just flat out better against squishies. So I think Boris is having a field day in these games, and I think AHQ is losing against their own draft a lot of the times.
So this was the game-ending Baron power play. I say game-ending. Game was already over at this point, but this was literally just the formality of killing whatever remaining bastion of hope AHQ had. Yeah, when they can't find picks, they fold. When they're forced to opt into 5v5 team fights around game-ending objectives, as it turns out, they're just already at a disadvantage from the get-go, and things just fall apart dramatically. That was an interesting transition on the graphic.
I don't
like
know
it.
what they did with that, trust me.
Good effects.
I think the gold graph is broke or something along those lines, but there you go. Post-game breakdown. It's going to be PSG with the victory. You saw there's 18,000 damage on the Senna. Overall, team looked pretty comfortable, even if there was a couple of questionable item decisions from both squads. PSG now in control and are at match point heading into Game 4.
What I want to see for PSG, if you look at the damage graphs, the Renekton isn't doing anything, the Morgana isn't doing anything. Please pick utility and safer, more consistent picks on top and bot. I want to see the Gangplank taken away from Hanabi for Sif. I want to see a Tam Kench, or not so much, but I want to see a Thresh from Misera, not the Morganas, not the Nautilus. Pick consistent champions that have value outside of hitting skill shots and being ahead early game, and make sure you enable Uniboy and Kongyu, who are just, in these fights, they're smurfing it up.
Yeah, definitely do have to look at that mid jungle of HQ as being super insane. They played on Mad Team, Worlds 2018, did very well together there, and then yeah, really functioning well as a duo. That being said though, PSG of course won this one, so here we go.
And your MVP, it's going to be Unified on the Senna 404, able to take home the victory alongside his teammates. As like we mentioned, yes, now the team sitting at match point heading into Game 4. And from that, we are going to go ahead and run directly into our break. When we come back, though, it is, of course, like I mentioned, Game 4 between PSG and AHQ. We'll see whether or not PSG can lock in their ticket into that upper bracket final, or if AHQ can push this series to a PSG special of a Game 5. So stick around.